The 8 realizations of great beings. The first realization is the awareness that all dharmas are impermanent and without separate self. By contemplating on the impermanent and non-self nature of all dharma, you can escape suffering and obtain enlightenment, peace, and joy. The second realization is the awareness that more desire brings more suffering. All hardships in life arise from greed and desire. The third realization is the awareness that living simply, having few desires, leads to peace, joy, and serenity. Living simply allows for more time and concentration to practice the way and to help others. The fourth realization is the awareness that only diligent effort leads to enlightenment. Laziness and indulging sensual desires are obstacles to practice. The fifth realization is the awareness that ignorance is the cause of endless cycle of birth and death. You must always remember to listen and learn in order to develop your understanding and eloquence. The sixth realization is the awareness that poverty creates hatred and anger, which in turn creates a vicious cycle of negative thoughts and actions. Followers of the way, when practicing generosity, should consider everyone, friends and enemies alike, as equal, not condemning anyone's past wrongdoings or hating those who are presently causing harm. The seventh realization is the awareness that although we dwell in a world to teach and assist others, we should not become caught up in worldly matters. One who leaves home to follow the way possesses only 3 robes and a bowl. They always live simply and look at all beings with the eyes of compassion. The 8th realization is that we do not practice for our individual enlightenment alone, but devote our whole being to guiding all others to the gates of enlightenment. And together we say, in gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding, slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Welcome, everyone. Today we're celebrating Bodhi Day, so we have a nice potluck downstairs. I just had some courtesy announcements. Excuse me. Families with small children are welcome to use the downstairs area for their needs. There's a water fountain and cups available downstairs, lots of toys and everything. So any kids, they got to go down. And you can also watch the service if you want to be with your kids. You can just open up the YouTube app and stream the service, so you can not miss out on that. If you find that there is a need to rearrange your seats to be next to your family, or if your legs are falling asleep and you need to sit in a chair or vice versa, go ahead and move your spots. Just try to be mindful and respectful of everyone. Remember not to walk in front of the dais. If you could walk behind to go around. For the bathrooms are right through that curtain if it's your first time here and you're not sure. And we want to chant in a medium, upbeat tempo that brings life into the Sangha. So we will stand and we will start our first by greeting each other silently, and then we will start on page 7 when we I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. Turn to the next page, page 8. We will chant the Heart Sutra. Dhamma Rajya Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of prajna paramita perceived the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form,
Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind. No realm of sight, no realm of consciousness. No ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance. No old age and death, nor extinction of them. No suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, hara gate, hara samgate, bodhisvaha. Brahma prajna paramita hridaya sutra.
Please be seated.
I'd like to invite our speaker, David, our guest speaker, longtime Sangha member, and wonderful human being.
Thank you.
Now I think it should be good.
Now, the secrets are all done. So, some of you know that I, in my life before Buddha, was a minister for like 38 years. And 7 or 8 years into the ministry, I decided I needed to take a refresher course in preaching, which I did. And it was taught not by a preaching professor or a homiletics professor, but by a professional actor. And he'd grown up Catholic, had married a Presbyterian, and after sitting in the pew in his wife's Presbyterian church for a while, he wondered, why do they teach them to preach like that? So Phil took it upon himself to retrain us, I guess. And he brought all of the discipline of the theater, of the stage, to the art of preaching, and it really is. The first day there, we met in the chapel, and he had us arrange the chancel up front, the way it would look in our local congregation. So I had mine set up, the pulpit on one side and the lectern on the other side, and I don't know what all else was there. And I was supposed to make my entrance, as Phil would say, stage right, and walk out to where I sit down at the beginning of the service. So I started walking out, and all of a sudden Phil is saying, stop, stop. So I stopped, and he said, David, how many times has your mother told you to stand up straight? So I made sure I was doing that this morning when I came up here. When I was first asked to give a Dharma talk on December 3rd, I agreed because it was so far off, I wasn't worried. And December 3rd had a kind of a magical quality to it because that was my father's birthday, who, if he had lived, would be in his late 90s now, I guess. But anyway, Dad would be surprised. My Texas Southern Baptist father would be surprised to see his son in a temple giving a Dharma talk. I don't know if he rolls over on that or. So as I thought about what my subject might be, and since our teachers, Kajisu being one of them, have been laying out the 5 precepts, explaining them in very understandable ways for us, I thought, well, I can stay away from that. And then I ran across a note that I had written myself back before COVID, when the Thursday morning Dharma discussion group has first started meeting. And the note read that the Buddha's first sermon somehow said, I have come to teach dukkha, its causes and its cessation. And we've heard the word dukkha many times. Well, I've heard it many times. I hope you have too in here. Dukkha is a Pali word, P-A-L-I, Pali word that gets translated too often into suffering. Life is suffering. There are better, more accurate modern translations where we could say life is stressful. Life is trouble. Life is a lot of things, not limited just to suffering. And then as today drew closer and closer, I thought I needed to pare down the whole of the Four Noble Truths to something more manageable for me. And so as somebody asked me this morning if there was a title that they could put on YouTube or whatever is going on, and I said something about 2 is half of 4. I don't think it's going to appear that way, but I just wanted to talk about the first 2 noble truths, that life is suffering and its cause is clinging, attachment. So to say that life is suffering is in many ways an understatement. Life does not satisfy. And there's not a lot of us in this room who haven't felt at several points during our lives that life hasn't been satisfactory, that something has been off kilter, amiss, or in our modern language, life sucks. To say that it's stressful is to say that it's complicated, it's disappointing, It's uncertain. Life isn't what we dreamed it would be, what we imagined ourselves to be. And whatever the specifics of how we might have discovered that life isn't delivering what we thought it should for us, the second noble truth tells us that the reason for our suffering is attachment, is clinging, is holding on. One of my first small group meetings here, we were talking about attachment and the kind of problem it creates in our lives. And I said, well, then it's simple. We just need to be detached. And the leader of the group said, oh, no, you're thinking in dualistic terms already, David. It's not being detached. It's being unattached, just kind of letting go. I'm still working on the difference between being detached and unattached. But it's clearer that it moves in the direction of being unattached. So we hold on to something that maybe gets in the way of easing our life, making it less complicated. We might have old memories that are getting in our way, memories that reach way back into our lives that we just don't seem to be able to shake. We might have memory of a broken or just a bad relationship, and that still haunts us, lingers in the back of our mind, and we can't let go of it. And that manifests itself in how we live today, how we have other kinds of relationships, makes it stressful. Maybe that we had a big disappointment in our lives with something. And the sense of that disappointment never quite left us. I think back to all kinds of disappointments in my life, but I think by and large I was finally able to overcome them after 82 years. And I can honestly say life is not all that stressful for me. I have a daughter and a grandson, both of whom have disabilities, but that's the way it goes. And I don't feel, I remember when our daughter was first diagnosed, my first inclination was to respond, oh, geez, what did I do wrong? Why am I being punished like this? Well, that was crazy, but that's how I lived in those days. And now I can look at my daughter as my daughter and not see her disability, learn how to live with it, both her and me. And the same thing with my grandson. It's all of those things that reach back out of somewhere and grab us and sometimes get us so twisted that we can't function well as human beings, that we really do suffer in life. It might simply be not getting something that we really want, or it might be losing something that we really wanted to keep. Maybe it's something or someone that you want to avoid that's causing distress in your life. Maybe it's just a lingering feeling. You're not even sure what it is or why it's there, but you can't shake it. So in trying to think back to how to put suffering and cessation, unattachment together, I came across a story on Facebook this past week, and I may be trying to make more out of it than is really there, but it just clicked for me as I was thinking about suffering and attachment. It comes from, not from Buddhist scripture, but I think from a pretty wise bodhisattva, Winnie the Pooh. This story comes out of the 100-Acre Woods from the stories of Winnie the Pooh. And Piglet and Pooh are together. And Pooh says, Piglet. Piglet says, yes, I am scared. For a moment, there was silence. Well, would you like to talk about it? Asked Piglet. Pooh didn't say anything more for a while, and then he blurted out, I am just so scared. I'm anxious. I don't feel like things are getting any better. If anything, I feel like they might be getting worse. People are angry because they're so scared and they're turning on one another, and there seems to be no clear plan out of here. And I worry about my friends and the people I love, and I wish so much that I could give them all a hug. And oh, Piglet, I am so scared. Piglet was thoughtful as he looked out at the blue of the skies between the branches of the 100-acre woods and listened to his friend. And finally he said, I'm here. Very simple. I hear you, Pooh, and I'm here. And for a moment, Pooh was perplexed. Well, aren't you going to tell me not to be so silly? That I should stop getting myself into a state and pull myself together? That it's hard for everyone right now? No, said Piglet decisively. I am very much not going to do any of those things. But, said Pooh, I can't change the world right now, continued Piglet. And I'm not going to patronize you with the platitudes about how everything will be okay, because I don't know that it will. What I can do, Pooh, is make sure that you know I'm here, that I will always be here, that I will listen and I will support you, and for you to know that you have been heard. I can't make those anxious feelings go away, not really, but I can promise you that all the time I have breath left in my body, you won't ever need to feel those anxious feelings alone. It was a strange thing that happened, because even as Piglet said that, Pooh could feel some of those anxious feelings begin to ebb away. They loosened their grip on him, and he could feel two of them actually begin to slide away from him. And he thought of his friend Piglet, who sat there very quietly, being Pooh's friend. And Pooh thought he had never been more grateful. Life is suffering. And we suffer because we cling to all kinds of things we don't need to. There's a way out of that, says the third noble truth. And that way is the fourth noble truth, the eightfold noble path. But I'm going to leave those for someone else, and let us just sit with the idea that even one person that we can be with and before and listen to opens the way to ease our clinging and theirs as well. Now, the other thing I learned in ministry every Sunday morning when I had to give a children's story, never, ever ask a child an open-ended question. So it's with some trepidation that we take a few minutes here this morning, and I ask you, are there any questions? Good. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Oh, you are.
Why do you choose Winnie the Pooh?
Why what?
Why do you choose Winnie the Pooh?
Well, because Winnie the Pooh tells us what's really going on, I think.
Okay.
It gives us the truth in a very different way than we experience. And sometimes a story is, well, it's just the only way we can hear something that's true.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, that's good. Kajisu?
Ooh, sorry, guys. Thank you so much, David. As we have a little bit more time, I'd like to tell you another story. Today we're celebrating Bodhi Day, and the Buddha, before he was the Buddha, his name was Siddhartha, and he went through a lot of stuff in his life. But on the day of his enlightenment, he decided he's going to sit down beneath the Bodhi tree and figure it all out. He was determined to find that peace, to find and be able to share it. So he sat there for, they say, 7 days and 7 nights. And as he's sitting there in meditation, he is accosted by greed, anger, delusion. What they embody, Mara. Mara is like an antithesis, the opposite of enlightenment or compassion. And at first, Mara sends his daughters to try to seduce the Buddha with all kinds of flowery scents and everything. And at this point, it was still Siddhartha before he was the Buddha, and he ignored it, and they went away. And then Mara sent his army of anger and hatred, and shot arrows at the Buddha, and the arrows came, and as they started getting closer, they turned to flowers and fell at his feet. And then finally, Mara is getting so frustrated. He's like, "What gives you the right to sit here and to think that you can do all this?" And he's like, the Buddha doesn't even say anything. He reaches down and he touches the earth, and then the earth was Siddhartha's witness, was the thing supporting him and his endeavors. And at this point, Mara, which is also a part of Siddhartha, there's no separation. It's just the gunk, the mud on the bottom, and he figured out, hey, I'm also Mara, but I don't have to embody these. And at that point, he woke up. He was enlightened. The morning star was coming up, and from that point forward, he's known as the Buddha. And on this day, Bodhi Day, is the day that we celebrate his enlightenment. And he went on to teach the Four Noble Truths, and continued teaching for 40 years until he was 80. And then to this day, his teachings come through from teacher to student, all the way down to our founding teacher, and then Yangsu, who is our lineage holder here. So that is a little story of the Buddha and the enlightenment of Bodhi Day. Thank you. And as we prepare ourselves for meditation, I'd like to give a brief instructions. So if you're sitting on a cushion, or if you're sitting on a chair, you're going to want to have your back straight, upright, but not uptight. And you can either have your hands on your knees or in your lap. And I invite you to have your eyes open, slightly open, keeping all of our senses open. And as we settle in, we're going to have a lot of thoughts, and that's normal. You're not trying to get rid of your thoughts, but to see them and label them thinking when you have a thought, and then come back to your breath. Your breath is always with you, so that's what we have to anchor. So breathe in, breathe out, not trying to control your breath, let it be natural. And as you have thoughts, whatever they are, just label them thinking and come back to your breath. And it's a practice, and just continue doing that until the end of the session. And I will start and end with 3 sounds of the bell. We bow. Thank you again, David, for that wonderful Dharma talk. And thank you, everyone, for being here. If we could get the lights back up. I'm not. Thank you. And now is the point in our service where we like to share our joys and concerns, so we can hold space for each other as Piglet did for Pooh. And yeah, use that one. Thank you.
I finally figured out how to do the lotus thing.
Oh, nice.
The statues.
I have a joy. Actually, we have a joy. The first Sunday of December 2018 was when we walked through that front door for the first time and met the Sangha and met everybody else here. And we came here because Peter was interested in Buddhism, and I was just kind of along for the ride. And but before coming here, we sat down with our friends Robert and Nathan, who are not here today. And we sort of had this one-on-one tutorial about the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, I think I can do that. And here we are 5 years later and never looked back.
Happy anniversary.
Hey everybody, my name's Max. I just wanted to share a joy with everybody. Yesterday was my birthday, but I'm celebrating it today with friends and family. So I figured I'd go to work anyways yesterday. And when I let all my coworkers know that it was my birthday, they kind of freaked out and were like, "Why are you here? Go home. Like, this is crazy, dude." And it was really sweet. I hadn't been working at that job for a particularly long time, but they all like rushed and made me a card really quickly. And there was some like cookies there, like those what are they called, like Loft House cookies, those ones that are just like soft sugar. And they grabbed 2 of those and like stacked them on top of each other and grabbed a chopstick and stuck it in there and lit it on fire as a makeshift candle, and all came out and sang me happy birthday and everything in front of all the customers and stuff. It was very sweet. It made me really happy, and I'm very grateful for having such good coworkers and friends in my life. So
Happy birthday.
thank you.
On Friday, Hausu and I were in court with our son. Many of you know that our son was injured at the beginning of the year in an accident where the other person fled the scene. And this person was young. This young man was found later, and over the course of the year had court. And on Friday we went to Chicago, and this young person was sentenced to prison time, and didn't come out of the courtroom. It was a hard day for our son, and I want to acknowledge that it was also a hard day for this other young man. Both of these young people spoke. There were no winners, and I would appreciate it if we could all hold space in our hearts and thoughts for both of them, for my son, for our son, who has a lifetime ahead, amputee of some trouble, difficulty, and for this other young man who has some years ahead that will be difficult, because it is my hope that this doesn't harm this person enough that they can come out of this situation and also spread good in the world. So hold space for both of those young people, please.
Thank you.
I got kind of worried because my dog Max, he's starting to slow down a lot more and he started falling a lot more. So I'm kind of getting worried because he is a pretty old dog. So yeah.
Is there anyone online? Okay. So we are going to hold space for those joys and concerns. Thank you. Now we have announcements for December. Thank you, Kent, for getting these. I didn't realize I didn't have December's. We have an introduction to meditation Saturday, December 16th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the temple. And you can contact Reverend Igyesu Elizabeth Brennan for more information. Our precept ordination is Sunday, December 10th. So next Sunday. The preceptors have been doing a lot of work and meeting, and this is a big day for them. So we're going to have a potluck reception afterwards. So we can't get enough of the potlucks here. So yeah, I invite anyone to come to that. Next Sunday is the service. Our Grand Rapids Buddhist board, GRBT board meeting. Our Sangha members are invited to observe, and it'll be this on Sunday, December 17th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the temple, or you can join via Google Meet. We're going to have a holiday meditation service on Friday, December 22nd, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at the temple. Everyone's welcome to join. We have an online meditation group that meets every Wednesday from 7 to 7:45 p.m. and we join via Zoom. You can contact Reverend Kunga for more information. The link should be on our website, also our Instagram page, and I think it's also comes through the newsletter. Thursday Dharma discussion group. Every Thursday in the morning from 9:30 to 11 a.m. Meets here through December 21st. And you can email Reverend Jingsu Ryan Duffield at email for more information. The Temple Auxiliary Online Auction. The online auction on the Better World site closes Wednesday, December 17th at 5 p.m. All proceeds benefit the temple. There may be more announcements about that. We have a Buddhist-based recovery meeting Mondays from 6:30 to 8 here at the temple. Unfortunately, Wednesdays we are discontinuing until further notice, until we have someone to be able to facilitate that. At Fridays, though, we meet here Friday mornings. 10:05 a.m. is meditation, and then the meeting begins at 10:30. And there's also, you can join via Zoom on the Friday morning recovery meeting. Weather notice. In the event of severe weather, we will send an e-alert and post on social media platforms. Subscribe to our newsletter at zengr.org to receive e-alerts. And for any other details, you can visit zengr.org or see our weekly newsletter. Thank you for that. Do we have any other announcements? Oh, yes. I almost forgot. We had a leak downstairs. And so
Thank you.
the tables kind of look odd. Don't go behind the table because the carpet is wet, but everything else like in front of the table is fine. Just be mindful of that. Thank you.
My name is Gail Sue. I'm on the board and on the auxiliary, and welcome to those of you that are new. It looks like there's a few new faces. Excuse me, if you have questions, come to any of us, folks in gray in particular, but many of us here can answer your questions. 3 issues. First, we clean the temple this week on Tuesday. So when we're finished here, if we could empty out the temple, in the closet there, we put all the cushions and the chairs, and I'll be over there to kind of help direct that. Secondly, our auxiliary, we have, I don't know if all of you know about the auxiliary, have very talented people here who donated their time and their talents to have an online auction, as Sue said, through Better World. And you get in and you can anonymously bid on, Anna, how many items do you think we have? 30, 35? Really a wide choice. For example, those 2 quilts are on the online auction. Some of the artwork in the front is also up for anonymous bidding. So check that out. There's QR codes for the online auction at either end. And there's also a link in the newsletter. So check that out. We will close the auction on the 17th, but those of you who want to pick up stuff after that immediately to give them as Christmas gifts, get a hold of me. I'm the one that will arrange that for you. And finally, as a Dana announcement, Dana in our Sangha in Buddhism in general means generosity, and it's a pillar of our practice. Everything that's in the temple was either donated or is maintained by Sangha members. People that give the Dharma talks donate their time, the IT people that record it, the newsletter folks, the people who show up for the board, who show up for cleaning. There's a lot that happens here behind the scenes so we can come on Sundays and for the classes. So I wanted to acknowledge all the people that are part of that. If any of you want to become more involved in the Sangha, please let any of us know. Thank you.
Gail, what time does the cleaning start if somebody wanted to join?
10:30.
On Tuesday?
Yeah,
Okay.
this Tuesday. It's a fun group. As cleaning can be fun. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Gail.
Yes. Where are you?
Is there any other temple-related announcements? If not, we will close in our normal fashion. Page 9, we'll stand and recite the gathas. And together we say, for all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And I'm adding one more gatha for the meal we're about to enjoy together. This food is the gift of the whole universe, the earth, sky, and much hard work. May we eat in mindfulness so as to be worthy to receive it. May we transform our unskillful states of mind and learn to eat with moderation. And prevent illness. May this food help us on the path of understanding and love. Thank you. And then we'll split in the middle and bow to each other. And I invite you all to, after we get the cushions all taken care of, to come down and enjoy a meal together. You can put your booklets together. Someone will be around collecting them. Thank you guys so much for showing up.
Pardon me.
No, you're
Downstairs it helps.